Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Boss Rush on Friday. And of course, my co-hosts have absolutely no faith in me being able to actually get this thing up and running. We did have a problem with LinkedIn deciding to not use the URLs it gave me, so I had to repopulate it. And as I was dealing with that, my lovely co-hosts were there. Wondering if I fell off the stream, if this was going to be a dance party only episode this week, but it is not. We're all here together on this Friday, June 6th. My name is Chris Melisinos, the principal evangelist for Video Games here over at AWS. And with me on location is
Dean Takahashi, editorial director for GameSpeed, live from Los Angeles, where the Summer Game Fest is going to happen.
Yay! That's right. And jumping in at the very last moment here.
Is that me?
That would be you. That would be you, young lady.
I'm Susan Cummings on location in Cardiff, Wales.
That's right. We're gonna make.
I run a little company called 10-6 Games and love you guys and look forward to every week.
Oh, we love you too, and look forward to seeing you every week. And of course,
hi, I'm on a location as well. The location is Seattle. This week, I'm a former Nintendo employee.
Oh, that's right.
Excited to be here and talk about the week's news.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, okay, so we have a ton of stuff that we need to go ahead and jump in to today. I heard there was some big news that happened this week. Who wants to kick us off?
I know, were you on Twitter? They were crazy.
It the Musk fight?
That's what I was thinking. Boss fight, 64.
Yeah, there was a little of that this week, but I think there's some
some good news.
Yeah, I was going to say it can be, you can view all of it as good or bad depending on where you sit. But let's talk about some really good news, and we'll start off with a article here from Mr. Takahashi about Nintendo bringing back late-night console launches with the debut of Switch 2. So, tell us about your experience for the launch.
Well, that was made me feel like it was the good old days of game console launches. I went out to the San Francisco store of Nintendo, which just opened a couple of weeks ago. It's their second store in the country, and the other one's in New York. And it was nice to see a crowd of people. You know, it wasn't tons and tons of folks. It was about 150 or so. And they all, I like the winning sort of number one guy to get the first console was a guy named Dean. I don't know his last name, but he's a 15-year-old, and he camped out since 7 a.m. that day. So he wound up waiting about 14 hours. And I did not ask him what he was doing about school that day, but but he was dressed like a leprechaun, and there were a lot of other people who were cosplaying there in line as well. Some of the press came. Greg Miller was there. Folks from IGN. I was there. It was a nice party atmosphere. The store is full of all these very joyful Nintendo accessories, and they had the consoles both upstairs and downstairs. They were selling them, and it took a while for them to get the first one out the door, but eventually the pace picked up, and the line was going well after 9 p.m. Pacific time, which was the midnight East Coast time launch time. It was
awesome. And of course, you said there was this 15-year-old kid there, but then of course he unmasked himself just like in Mission Impossible, and there's the real Dean then holding up.
Probably done school, right? I think it was last week of school in America.
Yeah, exactly. Dean, I love that we were talking about that, because a good friend of mine, well, actually several friends that have younger, kids, they waited. Some of them waited out, for the whole day and into the evening with their kids. And a good friend of mine, his son was the first in line at this GameStop, and then he took a video of him, inside the store, and he's like, all right, buddy, when you go out, like, hold it up over your head, and he, rushed out the door, and the whole crowd, like hundreds of people, like, yeah, screaming for him and everything, and he was just like jumping up and down, like all the way back to the car. And what's really, important to, I think, remember about this stuff, it's not just the hardware and the game stuff, it's the community, it's those core memories that you're making. Like, I love every bit of it. Of course, I didn't get a chance to wait out. I did happen to get one though. Mine is, So, and it's just so damn good. How about our other co-host? Did you pick one up? Are you getting one?
Have not picked one up. Have not decided. Haven't had a lot of PC gaming going on in this house lately.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm sure at some point we will. Every time a new console comes out, he's like, "Oh, we're never gonna play it. We have no time." 6 months go by. Yeah, we should get one, shouldn't we? So I'm sure eventually we will have a Switch 2 in the house, but it's a time thing right now.
Yeah, it's kind of the same for me. I know I'll get one at some point, but I wasn't in a hurry. I'm gonna wait till there's a title I really want to get, and then I'll.
It's expensive over there, right? With the $700. Did I say?
What?
I don't know what the.
By the end of it, I had spent more than $750 with.
That's what I saw a price tag on.
Like T-shirts too, and
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, but not for the Switch itself. For the other things that you got for it, right?
Yeah. Well, it was $500 if you choose to get the Mario Kart World packed in with it.
Yeah.
So $500. Okay. Otherwise, it's $450.
Okay, that makes sense.
The Joy-Con controllers added close to $100 on the price as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
wow.
It's kind of hard to play without the Joy-Cons there.
Well, I mean, but I have the Pro controller from the Switch, and it works just fine. So I was able to, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Perfectly good. And I think I'd picked one of the Pro controls like $20, like on sale at Best Buy, a few months ago. I think that's going to probably, that ship has sailed. But the other one's going to be, if you need additional memory card, it will only work with those new micro SD Express cards. So any other micro SD card you've got will not work in the new Switch 2. It's a throughput. Yeah, it's a throughput issue. And of course, there's nothing that requires it except for the Switch 2 right now. So, like the prices on certain online retailers, which will not be named, it's like, oh, here's a 256 gigabyte one for $90. You're like, okay. maybe what I will do, as Perrin Kaplan used to call it on the Wii, it's cleaning out the fridge. Right? Yeah. You uninstall a game that you're not playing, install a new one, and just wait till you have time to get more memory. But
I don't even know.
Joy-Cons this time also function like a mouse, and so you basically need new Joy-Cons.
Right.
Yeah, they're pretty advanced. Ian Harrington said, "Is it as powerful as the PS5?" Not quite, but still pretty amazing. What I did love and was super surprised about was the density of drivers. Right when you're playing the Super Mario World. It completely threw you off at first because you're normally like, oh, there's 12, other drivers you can play with. No, it's like 30.
Wow.
Right?
Real ones or fake ones?
What's that?
Mm-hmm.
Real people or fake?
No. Nintendo characters.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, but the coolest thing too is you hit the open world button at the bottom. Now you can drive anywhere on the map to all the different levels. You can explore the whole environments, and then they have little P button switches that you hit, and it opens up like challenges to do in the environment that unlock other things in the game. So this is not a Mario Kart game, right? This is an open world exploration that is just, it's awesome. It is so good.
You need some happiness in the world right now.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes.
So I was very happy to hear that. And it looks like, one of the more alarming stories I saw was some people getting their Switches that had the screens punctured because people at the store were stapling the receipts to the box and punching through stapling the screens.
Can you imagine that feeling? So excited. Open it up. You're like, wait, hang on.
God.
Yeah. All right, I'll tell you then real quickly. So my little story about picking up mine, I was running around getting some errands done. I went to a Costco. There was one left. Like I got to the area there and I told the woman that was there at the kiosk, like, oh, you here to pick up a Switch? I'm like, yeah, do you have any? She's like, oh, we have one left. I said, oh, great. So she goes and reaches to her colleague who has her back to him, has his back to her. And some guy came like running up to the kiosk without getting the line and goes, do you have any left? And that guy was about to hand him the card. And she goes, no, wait. And turns around and says, this guy was here first. And the guy handed me and the other, because like, oh, you were just handing it to me. And I'm like, buddy, you looked me right in my eyes.
Punch him, Chris?
To jump the line. I mean,
Were there fisticuffs?
No, but I did feel bad for him. And I actually kind of went to find him. Like, okay, if you have kids or something, then yeah, right, take it.
$4,000.
Huh?
All right.
No. I gave up 2 pre-order slots to people with kids because, let them have it first. But I'm like, so I felt bad, but then he was like, and like stormed away. And I was like, okay, well, now maybe I don't feel as bad, but I still, it's just still, I get it from his perspective,
Right.
So I did feel bad, but now I get to play with my kids. So I'm good. Yeah.
That doesn't sound
so
like
I
you
hope if you happen to ever stumble upon this, I hope you find a Switch 2 soon so you can enjoy the game as much as we do. All right. That was a big one. And then there was some other amazing announcements this week. Do we want to jump into the State of Play? Did everyone have a chance to take a look at the games coming up for State of Play?
Yeah.
Lumens 2.
I'm excited about that one.
I am such a hardcore Lumens fan. Lee and I got so excited about that.
Yeah.
I didn't publish that. I had the chance to pick that up when I was at Rockstar. And so I don't think I've made too many mistakes in terms of things I passed and feel bad about. I feel bad about that. Love Lumens. Love it so much.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the question. What is the one song on the original one? The one that you could always play and
Shine
repeat?
and shine and shine.
There you go. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yes, that one is the song by Mondo Grosso.
When I was at Rockstar, I don't know if you didn't know me back then, Chris, but I got really, really sick. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I had a Guillain-Barré. My body started attacking my nervous system. It was right after I met Perrin Kaplan for the first time. Perrin, goddess that she is, sent me a brand new DS and games at the hospital. To go through it, which was such a sweet thing to do. And Lee and I were obsessed with Lumens on the PSP at the time, and he just got some insane scores sitting by my bedside while I slept. So it has a soft spot in my heart for Lumens. Nostalgia.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just surprised you keep calling it Lumens because I always called it Luminous.
Luminous is what
I don't know what one's right.
Lumens. I don't know. It's like Balatro.
Exactly.
Just like that. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that was the thing we were excited about.
Actually, that's kind of the only thing I saw. I was like, woohoo!
Tell me what else we should be excited about.
They also had one of the big reveals there with the trailer for 007.
I did hear that. Lee was excited about that and sent it to Lanyon. So, yes, I did hear that. I haven't watched it myself.
007 First Light.
James Bond, while we're talking about that. I'll pull up the trailer as we're talking about that. The one thing I would tell you about Lumines is that it.
You're also calling it Luminous.
It got the Tetris effect gloss now, right? That's the first thing I thought of when I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, like everybody's leaning into hard on the graphics.
Looks so much more expensive now. I'm like, wow.
It does, yeah. But when I didn't pick it up, it was $1 million was the budget for it back then. So I don't know how much they spent on it.
Oh man, yeah.
I know. I didn't pick it up.
Doing that. Here we go. Yeah, First Light 007. You want to talk a bit about this one, Dean? This looks amazing.
Well, it's James Bond as a young man, I guess, his sort of debut as an agent, and reminds me of Tomb Raider. The reboot of Tomb Raider and Lara Croft as she became an adventurer, right?
Yeah.
And so same kind of storyline there, and so I like that. I like that approach because I've always kind of been curious. Like I've never read all the Bond books, so I have no idea what the backstory is to the guy who became James Bond. So
cool. Yeah, at some point somebody has to do a 007 Nathan Drake Laura Croft kind of meetup. Like at some point, aren't we going to see them like find each other in different environments or crossing paths?
It's a cool mashup.
Yeah, I would love to see that kind of happen, right?
Be like Super Smash Brothers, but with adventuring characters.
With agents, yeah.
I also love the style of this, right? Is that it's not hyper realistic, right? It's got a good style to it, and one of the things that some fans have been talking about as well is that James Bond, because he has the scar in his face, which is present in the books but not in the series. So this is the Bond from the books, not the Bond from movies, right? Yeah, it looks really good.
And is it the Hitman team? Like this comes out of Hitman, right?
It sure looks like it.
Yeah.
They're working on it for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah. I would say adjacent to our industry, is anyone else excited about the Predator animated movie? It's getting 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. We're watching it tonight.
Oh, I haven't
heard of it. We're watching it.
Please, why don't you tell us about the Predator movie that none of us know about?
Yeah, Hulu's got a Predator movie.
Awesome. An animated Predator movie.
Yeah, I didn't know about it. It came out of nowhere. It's called Killer of Killers.
Killer of Killers.
Well, of course, it's a Predator movie. He is the killer of killers.
96% on Rotten Tomatoes, though.
Ooh.
Wow.
At least it was last time I looked. It looks great. And there's a new Aliens TV series, too, which also looks awesome.
We are living in the era of the Gen X reboot. It is so awesome. Like all of this stuff that was around when we were kids, like is now making its way screaming back into all forms of media, and I'm here for all of it.
Excuse me.
Yeah, really cool.
There was also some other games like Pseudo 51 and Grasshopper had Romeo is a Dead Man coming in 2026. That was from the State of Play as well.
Yeah,
and then Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, coming September 30th, and something called Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls as well.
Oh yeah, let's see. We have that down here too. But I also wanted to point to Astrobot getting more content.
Nice.
More content. And they're releasing the Astrobot controller. So you held that up and had little Astrobot eyes in this. But there's going to be more about this coming later. I'm like, oh, please let it just be an OLED screen on that touchpad that blinks at you. And that's it. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, they did a great job, and really looking forward to so many of the games that are coming out there as well. Of course, and then all of the updated games on the Switch, so that you have the downloads for Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, so it upreses everything. And I think it's like $10 if you don't have the yearly subscription, for online and the expansion pack stuff, which they're also doing GameCube games now. So there are 3 GameCube games that launched that you can now play, including Super Mario Sunshine. I was just like, okay, all right, they're doing it. They're doing it.
Nice.
There is another game that got announced this week that I think is super important here, and I'm so happy for them, actually. And it is our friends over at Digital Eclipse are releasing the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Yes. And I know this has been a long time coming for them. And, of course, they're going to use the same treatment that they've done with their other compilations, right, which is amazing. And if you love looking here where it's dive deeper with rare and fan favorite releases across Game Boy, Game Gear, Sega 32X, Game Boy Advance, and more. So, there is a bunch of video games. And then, of course, interviews with so many people that were involved in the creation of it. Ed Boon, John Tobias, John Vogel, Dan Forden. other behind the scenes footage and artwork and concepts. Like, this is what Digital Clips does best. I don't trust anybody in the industry more than I do that team to ensure that they get the stories right, the history right, the treatment of the games right. They're just exceptional at this. So I'm really excited to see all of that. And congratulations to the team over there for getting to do this one. Yes, yeah, exactly. Yay to our friends over there at Digital Eclipse, part of Atari. So, woo, hooray. All right, I think I've exhausted most of my big, exciting news piece, except for one, but we'll see if somebody else will get to it. Susan, what, apart from, making us aware of movies that are coming out, what other games or news or things have piqued your interest this week?
Well, I'm excited about the new Elden Ring game that's out now. I'm playing it tonight. I'm going to try co-op Elden Ring for the first time. Night Rain. Has anyone played it?
No.
You guys played it?
Night Rain. Well,
It's a roguelike co-op.
Yeah.
Supposed to be incredibly hard. I only just started properly playing through Elden Ring like a week or two ago. I'm like halfway through it. I'm very excited because I don't like punishing games very much. And so I really had to force myself to sit down and master it. And I am really having fun with Elden Ring. So I'm looking forward to playing some co-op tonight. But yeah, it's hard. Like, Lee loves hard games and he's just like, It's really, really hard. And you only have it's 3 rounds of 15 minutes. And I can't even decide what I think about that. It's a bit like the Fortnite shrinking map.
Oh, weird. Huh.
Yeah. So each time you get through 15 minutes, you fight a boss, then you get through the next day of 15 minutes to the boss, and so on. And it just sounds incredibly stressful.
Huh.
Exactly what I should be doing on a Friday night.
Perfect. With a martini.
So I'm excited to play that, which isn't exactly a news thing, but it did just come out a week ago. So yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, I don't like hard punishing games either. I've got no.
I'm getting into it. I'm feeling accomplished from it. I think it's making me a better gamer. I would even go so far as to say.
You got to throw up the horns. You did make me a better gamer, man, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm like, that new Mario Kart looks sweet. I should turn off the auto steering on it, which, by the way, is invoked or turned on when you first start the game. Like, oh man, I really made that turn. I'm surprised it didn't slip off the edge. Like, oh no, turn auto steering off. Oh, I got it. How about you, Mark? What you got?
ESA Essential Facts 2025 came out.
Yeah.
I watch for this every year because it's a collection of data that is super useful for anybody who's trying to convince anybody of anything around games. So the headline here is 64% of Americans play games for more than an hour a week, and 83% of households played at least one video game device in the past year. I don't know if that includes mobile. Tons and tons of data.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Oh, you're looking at the 2024. There's a 2025.
Oh, wait. Oh,
yep.
You're right.
Yeah, and that's actually interesting on its own.
I'm not good at math.
Yeah, I read a story on this and interviewed Stanley Pierre Louis, the CEO of the ESA, and yeah, it's interesting.
Here we go.
Data. Like, I think it went from 61% of people in the U.S. play video games to 64% now.
Yep.
And they found that 36% of the people ages 80 to 90 also play games now. And so like the wider and in fact there I think there were more people over
here we go.
I think it was over 50 that are playing games that there are like the 21 and under set. So
it's a new market to go after. Gonna start making games with really, really big letters.
Yeah.
They'll be for me and all of my older friends.
No. What's going to happen is every game will ship with like a smaller, like 42-inch TV just for the text that you can put up next to the game that you're playing.
Yeah, the AARP if any game developers are watching this, the AARP presentation from GDC 2024 was super amazing. There was a 50 plus gamers presentation, and it's full of data about how to address that market. Super useful.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, I keep seeing those Gen X numbers. Those are going to continue to climb, right?
And one of the big things that the reasons why the older folks are playing too is parents want to play with their kids.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. Yes. Again, once the first generation of digital adopters, right, which is Gen X, once they start moving to that retirement age, right, and they tend to become they will become the upper bounds of society. You will now have vertically every generation that has grown up with video games as part of their language. And they're living longer. They typically have more disposable income. They're going to be free time millionaires again, and they're going to want to play with their kids and their grandkids and their great grandkids. It's going to be amazing. A friend of mine who was at the Best Buy in LA for the launch yesterday, he goes, Best Buy is out of control right now. He goes, it's just nothing but 50-somethings scrambling to get one. And he's like, the Gen X thing you're talking about is like right on the money. I'm like, I know, it's coming.
That would have made a great picture.
Right,
You should have like used Gen AI to make a picture of that, like a whole bunch.
And there was this gray-haired bully at Costco that stole
That's right.
He hit me with his cane.
with cool glasses, but bad attitude.
Kept complaining about his joints.
But yeah, I do love looking at the numbers, citing these stats. Who players are playing with friends, online siblings, other family. Like that's going to continue to grow. 72% of players have played with others in person or online. 89% of total players have played video games online. That's amazing, right? That is just amazing. So yeah, Mark, this is a great resource for everyone to go ahead and check out, and we'll go ahead and pop it into the chat so people have access to it. But yeah, more people playing, and it's not going to slow down. So good pull, buddy. Oh, that cat pop sound. All right. What other big stories are rattling around your big old brains?
Let's see. Unreal Fest was this week as well, out in Orlando, Florida, and I think they had sort of they were in the shadow of Disney World there, but Epic didn't actually say all that much about their deal with Disney, other than sort of retouting Darth Vader's appearance in Fortnite, right? And the AI chatbot there, really,
right?
And after people managed to get Darth off the rails, saying curse words. Epic addressed that, fixed it, and sort of by the end of a weekend, everybody was having a great time with Darth Vader. So that was when it had a James Earl Jones's voice, because Epic had gone to the Jones estate and got permission to use his voice.
Good job.
Yeah. But again, gamers did exactly what they're supposed to do. They went, oh, I bet I can break your stuff. Let's see what we can do. And then we learned from that. We learned how to go ahead and make things better for everybody, right? But really important as we're using these tools and they're coming faster and more furious than ever before is make sure we understand how we can use them to best effect, right? To build better games, better communities, but also to protect the IP and the art and those things. I'm sure the James Earl estate was happy that they were able to fix that problem. But some of the videos that popped up were awesome. They were just hilarious. But so on Games Beat's site, Dean has a full kind of unpacking the big stories there from State of Unreal, which is awesome. And one of the things that, I love that Epic does better than almost any other company that's in the tool space, right, is not almost. I mean, I think they do it better than any other company in the tool space is when they have new major leaps in their engine stuff, the demos that they pull off are just mind melting,
Yeah.
And so the Witcher demo, right, was the big one, right, Dean?
Yeah, the Witcher 4 tech demo showed off all the new features in Unreal Engine 5.6. And they've been working for years with CD Projekt Red on the technology. Although the Witcher 4 material that they showed was not necessarily, it was built for the tech demo, was not necessarily guaranteed to be in the upcoming game, which is coming, sometime soon, but
Yeah.
maybe years away still.
It was used to showcase the engine, right? But I mean, I just look at the visuals on this. It's,
the foliage in particular is mind blowing.
Yeah, they also went to 1.0 on the MetaHuman creation tool for avatars as well. So I think that means they're reasonably happy with how the tools have turned out so far.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. Yeah, here's some of their MetaHuman tools. Amazing. Yeah, and then I think this is the new tool that they just then opened up for. I mean, look at that. That's just
That's a little creepy.
crazy, right? Just amazing. You know what? When I saw one of those images, what it reminded me of back when the PlayStation 2 launched, and they had the character from Final Fantasy VII on the sign. It's like, look at the fidelity. You're like, oh, how can it get any better than that?
I know, right? Yeah, it gets better and better.
You're like, there's gotta be,
every time.
There's got to be 82 polygons in that model. How are we going to get better than that? Amazing stuff. Yeah. Yes, definitely go.
It's awesome, but can I be the naysayer and say, who's got the budget for making those games anymore? Like, is this really where the effort is being?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Epic's always been really good at pushing the upper limits. What I hope is that by pushing the upper limits, they make the lower limits more accessible.
Right.
So, you can
Well, I mean,
look, I love beautiful games as much as anyone. It's just,
I'm with you.
As a realist, most of the funding is, the funding's gone. And so most of the effort is on the indie side, and indies can't afford to make games with those tools or have the
I would say that like I've seen a lot more Unreal Engine 5 announcements, right? And all the AAA stuff is going towards Unreal, right? And
definitely.
Lots of companies are giving up their proprietary engines now in the AAA space.
Moving to Unreal.
Yeah.
It's been interesting. I'm doing a research project right now under contract, and I've been surprised how many people have spontaneously said to me, we can't use Unreal and we're angry about it because we have to target HTML5. And so we're going to use Unity, but we wish we could use Unreal. I'm like, without me prompting them, I'm like, wow. That's, okay.
But
interesting.
But keep going on HTML5, buddy.
I know, right?
Keep going HTML5.
I swear I didn't prompt them for that.
But I'm glad you threw that out there.
I mean, there is at least one guy out there who's been trying to get Unreal games to run on the web. And
Well, Dean,
the Wonder Interactive.
His name at the moment. Right?
Hey, Dean, you may have two people right here co-hosting with you that were also trying to do that.
I know. We might have opinions.
This guy's got to work. I mean,
yeah. I got his name right now too, but the company is Wonder Interactive.
Listen to that. Wow. I mean, so oh my goodness. Yeah. Wait, did Dean,
Shots fired.
Dean just left the podcast.
Maybe he's a matter. The Apple Design Awards nominees were pushed up, or were they the winners? The Apple Design Award finalists, they're calling it, which is something I always enjoy looking at as it comes out, because I always go through all of the games that are in there and make sure to try them, because they're the ones that Apple seems most proud to have on their platform. So like Balatro is on there, Dredge is on there, and Neva is on there. And those are all great games. I totally agree.
Let's see.
Did you see that Apple bought a game developer?
Two people
What's up
in
with
it.
that?
Yeah. 2 people.
Maybe it was an acquihire.
I
don't know.
that's
Maybe they'll
what it
talk
feels
about
like.
I
it.
have to think it was, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it was still just 2 people, but definitely the folks who made the Sneaky Sasquatch game on Apple Arcade.
That's what it was. Yeah, that had me scratching my head.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's happening right ahead of WWDC, which is on Monday, and they're there is a bunch of rumor going around that Apple has some kind of new gaming hub that is going to help with game discovery and who knows what else. But
That'd be great.
It's sort of coincidental that they're making that announcement, and they're sort of doing more for games and more for game developers right as Fortnite goes back into the App Store after 4.5 years.
Yeah.
In which they're fighting over royalties. And Tim Sweeney, I had a chance to talk to him this week, and he said, people are trying to interpret what's going on now. It's just like all the criminologists of the 1980s. Instead, he calls them the Cupertinoologists.
Nice.
But I hope. Listen, for whatever is going to happen. Obviously, I don't have any additional information about this, but what I hope is that. Games that are coming onto platforms like that, like the iPhone and stuff like that, aren't trying to replicate the traditional console experience. Like, yeah, you may have the hardware to push that, but the way people play, the context in which they play, the controls, don't necessarily match up. So it's not about the tech, right? It's about how you use it most effectively. And I've always said, look, there's a difference between, Susan, as you mentioned before, AAA games. I'm like, yeah, you can have AAA games, but I also would like to have a AAA audience, right? And so you don't necessarily have to be, a render-crushing game to achieve that, right? It's about the artistry and the storytelling and all the other things there. So I hope, because I know it was like 2 years ago, they were showing it, with the latest iPhone, like, oh, look, you can do Resident Evil. What was it, like 6 or 7 on there, whatever it is? And it's like, yeah, but nobody wants to play that on a screen that big. Right? You play it on a big screen with the lights out, just grab your pants, right? Because you don't want to do that on the subway.
Yeah, I don't know. I always find myself drawn to games that are more stylized on iOS. Like Dredge is a perfect example. Yeah. I'm looking at a picture of it, and it's a little bit cartoony, and
yes,
it's great.
Beautiful, beautiful game.
Yeah,
lots of fun. Yep. All right. What else do we got here?
I saw that Builder Rocket Boy is finally shipping a game, but that 2 of their top executives have left.
Really?
In the week leading up. I don't know what's called. Their chief legal officer and their CFO, I think, have both resigned.
That's a curious.
Sort of unceremoniously. I know, very strange. I don't know what's going on there. And I think some copies of the game have leaked out, but I haven't seen anything like reaction to it, like physical copies have leaked out. So there's a bit of like popcorny drama going on this week.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna.
Sure, Dean's on the case.
You're all talking.
Yep.
That's right. Dean's on the case.
He's like, hang on while I text somebody.
I need to have some sort of filter that will just pop like a hat and a monocle and a pipe right into Dean. Dean's
like a
on
VTuber.
Yes, exactly. It was the Greyhound.
Like Detective.
Article will be up in 1 hour.
That's right. Hey, Ken White in our chat said, hey, Ken, he said, I find that cloud gaming can be the solution to a lot of the console device issues, device agnostic, play on the subway, pause, go inside, fire it up right on a big screen. Yes, possibly, right? And there are companies, like one that I work for that also does cloud streaming of games and things like that. There's a lot of messiness in the last mile, or the connection between the last node on the network and where people are. Like, even in my prior life working for a major telecommunications company, I would go, well, I can't send a text on the subway on LTE, so I don't know if I'm going to get 4K 120 hertz streamed to my phone on the subway. So there are places where absolutely cloud services or streaming and those things are going to be absolutely amazing, and we're going to let us do all kinds of amazing things. But I think it's going to be a mix of solutions. Rendering on the web, local, and streamed, right? So we're going to have those pieces there. And then his disclosure was he worked on Atlas at EA Cloud Gaming Group. So he may be biased.
Awesome.
We all live with our own biases.
Yeah.
It's good to see you, buddy. All right.
It's interesting. Talking. It seems like faster internet, and we're finally getting full fiber in our neighborhood. My God.
Nice.
Has led to, lots of people playing games online, as evidenced by the report that Mark shared. But it doesn't seem to lead to people wanting to play their games remotely. And I'm curious why. As someone who's always believed in that, I worked for Yummy like 25 years ago trying to do, that sort of streaming on demand. And I have not quite figured out why that part of it just doesn't seem to take off. Like we had Gaikai and stuff, but we didn't do it. And I don't know why.
I think, Comcast's position sort of is now, they're promoting low latency gaming on the cable network, and the cable network, though, in the past was subject to net neutrality laws, and
Right.
now they aren't. And so the coincidence of being able to support that technology now, when before they could not, is very interesting.
Yeah, there were some things from a cable perspective that could be done, like saying you can play, absolutely, but if you want to do, let's say, packet prioritization on the network, you can pay for a service to do that, right? Or like a VPN that would be designed for games. You can still play your games online, but this thing may be X percentage better, right? If you did that. But I also think, and this is my own personal observation here, I'm just going to throw it out there. Video games are the only form of media that we've had that have been perfect from the first day that they were created. So you can go play an original Atari game today, and it plays exactly the same way on that machine as it did when it was released in 1977. You can play a game on a modern console that has frame rate issues and all kinds of glitches, and it plays consistently exactly that way in every single place, right? But we've dealt with things like lower quality video, lower quality images, lower quality music. When we first got access to it, it made it easier, and then we continued to, it got better and better and better over time. So we've only ever lived with video games always executing exactly the same way in every place that you happen to play a particular game. When you start adding variants to it, then people are like, well, wait a minute, that may not be the way I want to play that, because I know in my experience that it should play like this. So I think it's about setting proper expectations. And we've seen services in the past like, oh, you're going to be able to play at this resolution on a television that didn't even exist yet in market. Right. So it's about creating optionality for people. I think by and large, if you tell people that this may not be your ultra widescreen 4K, 240 hertz, HDR10, Atmos experience, but you can still get access to a game that you care about with these caveats, then people are like, oh, okay, there's an option at least for me to go ahead and play. All right, Mark.
It's kind of like you want both. If I'm at home on my PlayStation, my internet is fast enough that I don't mind downloading it.
Correct.
I could either set it overnight, or once this full fiber is in, I could probably have it in 30 minutes. And so that's fast enough for me. Like I'm okay with that way. Yeah. On the other hand, though, if I were off at a hotel, I'd love to be able to access that same game and keep going, and would probably be quite happy with a streaming solution that maybe, as you're saying, is a bit degraded, but it allows me to keep going and know that when I get home, I have it installed locally.
Right. It's about setting expectations. And I've known Mark long enough that like whenever he squints like that, he's like, oh, I've got a disagreement parked in the back of my brain. That
Oh, come on, Mark, go ahead.
Well, I'm just thinking about edge cases. That's what I do. I really feel like one of the new dynamics that maybe could help push streaming a bit is the subscription services, because I'm just thinking about my past week where, if I go on Game Pass on the Xbox, I want to try some games out. I don't want to wait and download those games.
True.
I just want to have a taste of them.
That's a good point.
But then similarly, like I downloaded Fortnite on my iPad to try it out because I was curious, how it looked compared to other things. And then I fired it up, and the first thing it said is it wanted to download 21 gigabytes or so. I don't know, some really large. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that for just like a 30-second check of this game. But if I'd been able to stream it, I would have just whacked that button right away, right?
Right.
So I wonder, as these games get bigger, like we're talking about the metahuman stuff, we're talking about the nanite foliage and all of this higher res stuff that's all going to result in larger and larger game executables, larger downloads. Like, I don't know. When I've got a 1.2 terabyte Comcast data cap per month, Like, I don't want to go spend 100 gigabytes just to go look at something for 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
I'm just not going to.
So is the idea that maybe it's the demo, it's the try before you buy,
Right.
you know?
Maybe,
Let me taste it and then go through that pain to
And
get the
I
things
go
I
through
want
the
to
if I
whole
really like
Yeah.
it, and
Agreed.
I do think that's one of the things the Xbox folks have done well, because you can try out a game and you can play it for a little bit, and then if you're loving it, you can hit the button and it'll download it to your machine.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah,
seamless.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
impressive.
I've read about the try before you buy that some of the cloud gaming companies are doing, say like Aether, right? And yeah, they're
And Ludeo.
they're definitely sort of lifting the I guess metrics that games are getting from people, being able to just play instantly and then try before they buy, and then download it, and like so everything from mobile to PC games. So
Yeah.
it's very very encouraging to see that it helps with user acquisition, right? So,
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. A company, Ludeo, does this. And one of the things you can go and try it right now is like Hitman. So you jump in, it lets you play Hitman for, I think, 2 minutes or something, or 2.5 minutes. And then it's like, okay, if you liked it, here's the button to go buy it. And of course,
nice.
it's
like
running on AWS's streaming service, of course. So definitely go check it out. It's a phenomenal experience. But no, it's actually really cool. It's actually very cool, very compelling, very, very compelling. So,
the build box people, they've been doing that for years too.
Yep. All right.
Did you just say Roblox, Dean? You said Roblox, right?
Oh, yeah.
I said build box.
Build box. All right. Okay. In my head, I heard the word Roblox, and it reminded me that the head of generative AI at Roblox just resigned and took a job as in a similar role at Canva. Stefano Parazzi, who is kind of amazing.
Yeah,
correct. Sorry, I'm like
Stefano. I knew him from they acquired his earlier startup at Roblox, and he stayed there for a while, but
he was Mixamo way back in the day. Yep.
Yeah, he seems more like a startup guy to me, I think, right?
Yeah, it's interesting to me to see him move from Roblox. He's done amazing stuff at Roblox, and you've seen the effects of his AI work right in their tool set in lots of ways. So, best of luck to him.
Well, speaking of Roblox, of course, this came out last week, the Grow a Garden numbers that they were talking about. Everyone see that?
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I get the numbers right. And listen, Dean, you already have them right there.
I didn't write that story, but I'd watched the coverage happen. And, it's very encouraging to see this, say, brand new IP like be one of the biggest games of the year. And it's inside Roblox, right? So.
I forget the numbers they hit, but it was extraordinary. People were like, what? Like, how is this? How did this get so popular so fast? And how much money, is somebody making out of this? Susan, didn't you comment on this?
No.
No? Okay. My brain's not working so good, right? We're on Friday. We got all kinds of podcasts coming up that I'm working on too. And, oh my goodness. All right. I had
one fun story about a company called Creative Company with no E at the end. And
that is creative.
Yeah, they took some traditional sort of way of doing sentiment analysis by in which case everybody looks at all the social media posts that happens around a company or a game or a topic, right? And this sentiment analysis quite often got a lot of the. I mean, it captured everything that was said about the company, but it didn't really capture the tone. And so that was always a problem with that kind of analysis. But these folks are using generative AI and LLMs, and they're feeding a lot of articles and social posts into the LLM, which does then the analysis where it can detect things like sarcasm or, attitude, how people
really
about something. Yeah, so exactly that kind of tone. Mr. Galicinos is what they can figure out now. And then so like, they find out, like, say, what kind of damage happened to the Witcher brand when Henry Cavill got fired as the character of Geralt in the Witcher series on Netflix, and that that this had an impact on the brand for the game, even though it had nothing to do with the actual game, right? So it was interesting. And then they were able to rank all of the companies in terms of I guess their engagement with fans and how popular they were, really. And like, say, Square Enix was at the top of this list, and then Ubisoft and Activision Blizzard, no surprise, were at the bottom. Netflix games was also pretty low, partly because they really haven't had a big hit yet, right? So, and Sega was very high ranked. So it was, to me, it was a very interesting way of how AI is now being brought into the picture to produce these reports, because it used to take them, say, months to figure this out, right? Yeah. Or even to analyze a relatively small amount of data, say over maybe 3 months or so. But these guys were able to do this in like 10 days. And so it's an interesting new use of AI.
Yeah,
I think all the companies, I would foresee all the companies using this kind of technology now.
Yeah, I mean, gaining insight into sentiment is one of the toughest things to do, because also consumers of that content across a variety of platforms may not use the same identity in each one of those places. So it's really hard to understand, is this the same person as that person? So being able to kind of pull all of that data from those different vectors in and then understand those patterns is amazing. By the way, I did find the numbers. Grow a Garden released a new update, and there's over 11 million people playing it now.
Nice.
Right inside.
It's an idle game, isn't it? It's a cozy idle game.
Yeah, it's a farming sim. Grow a Garden recently debuted a massive new update, adding tons of content to the game and seeing a huge uptick in its player count. Roblox has grown into one of the most popular game experiences, blah, blah, blah. Follows in the footsteps of many farming simulators before it. Grow a Garden has officially rolled out its Busy Bees update, bringing a brand new event to the game alongside new crops, pets, and more.
It's basically Facebook gaming back in the day, Farmville and like Pet Society. Like all you need to do, it sounds like, to succeed on Roblox is recreate what worked back in the day for like Christian Sequestro.
What was the one on Yahoo back in the day?
Whoa.
The animal focused one.
Habitat.
No, that's Commodore 64. What's the matter with you? Okay, I'll remember it. I think maybe
Pet Society is the one I remember everyone doing when everyone was doing the invite your friends, nag your friends, thing on Facebook.
But this is now why I'm seeing all these bee memes, like Eminem throwing out a bunch of bees, like zipping out. Yeah, because it's Grow a Garden. Yeah, so they got bees now apparently. So
gonna go try it.
Go ahead and definitely check that out. Also, Dean, you reminded me of the sarcasm filter. There was that old Kids in the Hall sketch when two guys standing in the corner. He's like, "Hey, my name's Nick. How are you?" And it's like, "It's a pleasure to meet you, Nick." And he's like, "You don't have to be so rude." He's like, "This is just a speech impediment. I've talked this way my whole life." Nothing but sarcasm the entire time. So yes. And yes, kids, that is the Kids in the Hall from the 1990s. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's see. One last article that I saw on your site, Dean, that I thought was really cool was Dots.eco is a platform for real-world environmental rewards in games. Can you tell us a little about this story, about this company?
Yeah, it was interesting. Also last night we had our GameSpeed Engage event, and Hank Rogers was there as a speaker, and he held everybody spellbound. But he did mention, what he's also doing for, he wrote a book. He's donating all the proceeds to climate change efforts, and his Blue Planet initiative is doing a lot of the same things that, say, Dots Echo is doing, where they're basically giving out rewards to gamers who do real world tasks that help the environment. So like planting a tree or something like that.
Right.
And then they will sort of access, like, say, satellite data to verify that the tree is still growing. And then, otherwise come up with other real world measurements for actions that people take. And Rogers was saying last night that, like, it's great that I can raise awareness about things like climate change, and also just educate people and get them thinking about some kind of change. But what he really wants instead is action, right? And so then rewarding action that people take, and helping the world improve in terms of biodiversity or climate change, anything like that. That's sort of work that DotSeco is doing.
That's awesome. Yeah, look, I mean, I've always said, if we can help people understand the impact of even their small actions, right, on our world, then it's easier to take action, right? But if it's this just one little thing, I'm not going to recycle, I'm going to throw this away or do whatever. What's one bottle going to do? What's not planting one tree going to do? But if you can see the context of everybody doing this, then you feel like you're part of something bigger and it's still actionable. So I love all of these, the sort of focus that we have right now from our industry on improving the planet and improving the environment for all of us. So I think that's pretty fantastic. Awesome. What a wonderful way to go and end our news stories on that. I also wanted to say I had the really awesome pleasure of meeting a new intern cohort that started here in my local office yesterday. And somebody who was an intern and now has been hired over here said, hey, would you like to meet the new interns coming? So I had a chance to go up and say hello. And then we had this big crowd around, and virtually all of them played video games, right? Mm-hmm. And they were talking everything from Minecraft, up to, the newest, 2K games. And, and then somebody was like, oh, do you know what 2K is? I was like, I do. And I actually do a podcast every Friday with somebody that knows it really well as well. And so it's just great, though, to see, how much of an impact that video games just have on the lives of not just us, but, people that are moving up into and out into the world are going to be building the next big things that we're all going to be able to take advantage of, right? It is the language that they speak, and it's just a privilege to spend some time with them. So, hey, to all the interns over here at AWS in the local office, great to meet you all. And we were going to do a game night here. So I'm going to do some game history for them and kind of show them where all this stuff comes from and all that kind of good stuff. With that, we're right at the end of the hour. I know we now start talking about what we've been playing. Super Mario or Mario Kart World, and somebody was like, what a missed opportunity to call it the Super Nintendo Switch instead of Switch 2. So I'm tucking into that. Dean, apart from the things that you're talking about, what are you looking most forward to playing or seeing at the Summer Game Fest?
Summer Game Fest. Well, I did not bring my Switch 2 with me, so I was a little concerned about that. So I'm going to play Mario Kart World when I get home. But there are lots, I would say, Sword of the Sea from Matt Nava's company, Giant Squid. Looks right. So I'm going to get a crack at that.
Oh, from Matt Nava. Okay, you see, he was at that game company and did the Journey book. Yeah, Matt.
He's spun out and he's doing very Journey-like games.
Years ago, when he was writing the book, The Art of Journey, he had actually asked me to write the intro to the book, which was an absolute privilege to do. And it is a beautiful, beautiful book if you can find it. And I think it's something like $600 or $700 if you can find one online now because of how limited the run was. So, good for him. All right, I'm definitely going to check that out. Susan, apart from this new Elden Ring experience that you're going to be jumping into, what else are you playing?
Well, the actual Elden Ring before that, I was told I wasn't allowed to play co-op with everybody else until I showed that I was interested in the game. So, so I've been beating bosses in Elden Ring mainly in my free time. Playing some Last Epoch as well still. A really good action RPG on Steam. Really enjoying. And Yeah, that's about it. That and my spelling bee every day on the New York Times app.
There you go. That's right. Everybody's a
Oh,
gamer.
I'm terrible at that thing.
I keep rotating games with it, but it's good. I feel like I'm doing something to keep my brain,
Yeah.
fresh.
That's right. Games to keep us healthy and strong. Mark, how about you, buddy?
Yeah, just quickly. So I pulled down a demo called So to Speak, which is a game about learning Japanese, and I'm just curious about that. I just saw that recently pop up, and then I downloaded but haven't tried yet. Stay Forever Home, which is a virtual pet game for Oculus Quest, done by some friends of ours.
Yeah.
Super excited to give that a try.
Is that Bernie?
Yeah, it's Bernie.
Yes. I've got a code for it. I need to download that. I've also picked up 4 new courses for Walkabout Mini Golf. So ready to go ahead and jump in and play. We're having so much fun playing around with that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. Well, that's going to be it for this week's Boss Rush. I do want to go ahead and mention right here at the end, I've set up a business site on LinkedIn with for Boss Rush. And so all of the episodes we do now are going to be listed right there on the page so we don't lose them on LinkedIn. And then we also are going to keep them up and running on the YouTube site. So you'll be able to find any past episodes you want to go ahead and take a look at. But that's going to take us to the end of this week's.
By the way, I should say Happy Tetris Day. Happy
Oh,
World.
yes.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Happy Tetris
Tetris.
Day.
Yeah.
Boy, I hope I can fit in playing Tetris into my gaming rotation. See, that's how you do that. And then you throw a dad dab out just to go and embarrass your kids. Awesome. All right, everybody, thank you so much for spending time with us this afternoon. Dean, Susan, Mark, thank you as always for your time today, and we'll see you next week on Boss
right.
Rush. Bye, everybody.
Bye, all.